Hi everyone, Banthony Dan Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Larzy project, Skiddle Bandana. This is the second full-length album from Louisiana rapper Larzy, or Louisiana as he calls it. He is currently on the come-up, and 2026 is proving to be a bit of a breakout year for him. For one, it wasn't that long ago that over on the Fantano channel, I enjoyed his standout performance during the On the Radar cypher that he was included in. He's also going to be touring with Chance the Rapper, apparently very soon. And of course, he was one of many names listed in XXL's freshman list this year, too. He's been on a somewhat consistent press run for this record as well, citing influences such as Kendrick Lamar and the like. And this new record over here, while I don't think it is perfect, I do think it is a very good first introduction, as there is a lot to like. For one, I do like the slick, modern, southern production on this thing. It's glamorous, it's melodic, it's bassy, it's sweet on the ears. In so many ways feels like a throwback to Southern titans like Outkast, yes, but also on top of that bounce heavyweights such as Juvenile too. And given that Larzy is from Louisiana, I think you can expect at least a little bit of Lil Wayne overlap too. But yeah, many comparisons could be made. More importantly though, I enjoy the many tracks on this album that take a very personal lyrical angle with more jazzy, nuanced instrumentation that does kind of run along the lines of Chance the Rapper. And speaking of Chance, I do think Larzy has a similarly yelpy, expressive, animated delivery that's going to grab your attention immediately and make it difficult to focus on much anything else, which could be a good or bad thing depending on whether or not your ears gravitate more toward production or bars. But personally, I like the fact that in this current age of rap, Larzy puts in the effort to make you feel every single word he's putting across, whether he's painting a general picture of his background and where he's from, going into his family and the sweltering hot southern weather that he grew up with on one of the opening tracks, Hot, which is a summer jam for riding around to if there ever was one. There's also Family BIZZY, which is an endearing ode to his family, who he shows a lot of gratitude to, not just for making him the man he is today, but kind of being the glue that holds his rap career together. Then with Normal Struggles, which is also a highlight, it's rare that you hear somebody this young and getting this much viral attention, putting in the effort to sound relatable and real. I mean, Larzy isn't above a flex or putting himself over his competitors, but he's not so far removed from his roots he's like lost in the fame and money. And in fact has a devastating bar on the back end of this record that I feel like was crazy given all the current discourse we've been seeing lately around Jay-Z and the idea of an ethical billionaire. Laws and rules got my head in circles. I'm figure eightin' in the matrix. Every O in the account can make me a racist because the higher up the hill, I'm further from my culture. I ran to shake my hand, black man make deals, what a culprit. Now obviously I myself cannot speak personally on the black experience or internalized racism, but we do know across the board capital exploitation tends to shield its benefactors from the inequities and the injustices of our economic and political system. In fact, the richest among us become benefactors of those systems regardless of how they ended up getting where they are. Which again, rare and sharp point, and really kind of shows you where Larzy's hierarchy of priorities are. As yes, he's focused on, you know, the elevation of himself, but also those around him and what he represents. But yeah, we have a very likable first leg on this record, even if the intro track doesn't come across maybe as epic vocally and instrumentally as he intended. But eventually we move into the song Pretty Girl Bullshit, which is really my least favorite song on the record, not only for its obnoxious sung chorus that I just feel like is borderline unlistenable, but also lyrically I feel like this track is the most pandery, because while many of the struggles addressed in the verses of this record are real for sure, the point that girls who are pretty also go through stuff that's hard and not so good is kind of a point that didn't need to be made. Yes, people who are beautiful and attractive are not shielded from the horrors of society. That I do know from personal experience. Thankfully, things pick up on How Did You Love Me, which features some boom bap beats paired with some classy soul samples, which Laryzi's voice just slices through. Lots of flirty, funny bars that kind of remind me of like college dropout era Kanye. And overall, this track brings a much better feeling on the love connection front than the previous song for sure. I also love how much care Laryzi puts into thoughtfully explaining the ways in which the women in his life improve his existence. Following this, MELANATE is a quality and straightforward Black Power anthem, and I would say Laryzi's own attempt at kind of like making sense of the racial dynamics of the world he was born into. God Forgive Me is a spiritual number that's all about judgment. Judgment upon others, being judged yourself. It's almost like the How Much a Dollar Cost of the album, but you know, doesn't reach the same level of impact emotionally, conceptually, instrumentally. It's tracks like this that you can really see what Laryzi's biggest influences are, what he's shooting for, but simultaneously how he falls short a little bit of, you know, dropping something that is as large scale or as thoughtful or as hard hitting. Still, it's clear that he's well on his way. And then I would say with the final moments of the album, the record begins to lose steam because I think it kind of paints itself into a corner. The flows, the production choices, and even the subject matters begin to kind of like bleed into each other in a sort of like a nondescript way. And some of these kind of larger scale macro picture elements that the record started off with, like these kids all on a bus and the bus driver kind of interacting with them, that eventually reaches ahead with a pep talk that the driver gives to the kids. I really love what this idea and this element is going for, but I feel like Laryzi didn't push the potential of this concept enough. This setting and dynamic could have been used to say so much more about the songs that it's kind of like woven in between, but still, even if it could have gone further, along with this record's overall attempts at trying to like paint a picture and give a sense of place of where Laryzi is from, it does at least a somewhat decent job of immersion, even if there are some shortcomings. I do think the closing track ends things off on a very feel-good, positive note. Almost reminds me of like some 2000s era material from Fashion. That's a very solid send-off and leaves me looking forward to see where Laryzi will end up next, which is why I'm feeling a light to decent 7 on this album. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe, please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or a link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Laryzi, forever.